Mum done a good move by moving them to, Yorkshire, definitely, because like he says, it's a more slower, sedate life.
Yeah.
With my mum having so many siblings around her, it was good,
How many of you is there?
A few.
Altogether, between my mum and dad, there's 9 boys and 2 girls.
Right.
And we're all around each other. Some of us don't speak. We have a good rapport with each other. Some of us, they don't pick up the phone. So we spread out a bit more, but a few of us were a lot closer. A couple are abroad. Some live the other side of Lancashire. Some live on the other side of Yorkshire. In London. So
yeah.
It's stagnated, but I've always been the same with him.
Yeah.
I said I've always been, because of him and his reputation, I've had to go through life and find my own character.
Yeah.
Without having to mimic or imitate any of my other brothers.
That must have been hard.
Oh, it was really, it was.
Must have been hard.
It was,
yeah, that
it was hard, because when we went to Yorkshire, it went from running a fast pace, what Manchester used to be like in the 60s and 70s, especially the 80s, to virtually a countryside farm culture and way of life. And what happened, what I used to see at a very young age because of him, never went on for many years in a very large district of Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Until later on, until like after the E scene, the end of the 80s.
Yeah.
That's the end,
Then Herring and Smack started going to Yorkshire, and it's not a really.
That's what ruined a lot of people, including myself. You know what I mean? So it did ruin me because thank God I came out of it.
Yeah.
But
you did, Robert.
It ruined a good chunk of my life, which could have been a lot more productive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unbelievable. 99.9% of any person that has had such a lush, as I would call it, addiction,
especially with the partner,
with a partner who's just as addictive,
wow.
To be able to snap the camel's back and bring himself back from what I call the brink is unbelievable.
Both of you. Both of you went.
Me, my lady, we're getting married in July.
And both of you
both
went on
of us,
it?
yeah.
Go on, lad. Wow.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, we've been up 7-8 years now, 8 years.
Wow.
And,
so when did you first go away? When did you start your 13 and a half years?
I started January 3rd, 1988.
Right.
Came out in 98.
Wow. And when you went in, was you on stuff then?
I'd started dabbling then. I'd met this girl who was involved in it, and I couldn't understand it because I'd never seen it before. And I was in my 30s. I'd never seen it before, but she was beautiful and I loved her, and it's like when you got emotion.
Yeah.
And I tried analysing why I actually went on it, because I was really against it. I used to go around beating the deals up for selling to her and everything, throwing down the toilet.
To her, trying to protect her. Oh, go on, go on.
I used to beat him up and take it off her. It didn't matter how much took off him, I used to flush it down the toilet. And I got jealous of it. And then one day I said to myself, I wonder what she'll feel like if I look like her when she takes it, how I feel towards her. Because she wasn't the same person, and I made a bad mistake saying that. Thinking, well, I wonder if she'll see me how I'm seeing her. Because we had a good life, we had our own hair salon, sheet mill, everything, we used to go on holidays and all that. I had lots of money. But this was the beginning of the downfall. And but it never worked that way. But by the time I got round to doing that, thinking like that, I realised the money in it. Yeah. Okay. So then I started selling it, not realising the psychological effect it was having on her, where she was throwing £20 notes out the window to buy 2 things for me without me them to know, and I'm knocking her mates out for trying it, and so it was a learning curve again, and by the time I learned, I used to write my name out, you know what I mean? It wasn't no £5 thing for me. I used to grabbalicious, greedy. I used to write my name out, which meant then I had to, you start expenditure, you ain't got enough coming in, so then you have to start getting naughty. Which I did, and I didn't care who it was. If he was dealing the badness, I took it off him. And that's how it was, So it was.
I had thousands of people over my life coming to me and say, your brother did me over me, your brother did this, your brother did that, your brother did that. And it had nothing to do with me, I didn't really care. when I used to go and visit him, I said he had this tuned mind that when he wanted to go on a mission, he'd go on the mission. This is before the drug taking. I sensed at a young age what the girl, I didn't know what she was doing because I never been across it. I was never that kind of person. Yeah. And he used to go absolutely ballistic. He'd take her away to get her off the drugs. He'd take her to Spain, everywhere. Tried his best, and then he just give in to
the devil.
To the devil, because he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I love you that much."
I made a conscious decision, though. I always remember making that conscious. I'm not blaming her, by the way. I made it myself because I made a conscious decision. But I made a conscious decision, to see how she would feel towards me, the way it made me feel when she was like conked out of her head. But never used to make me conked out of my head. You know what I mean? I never used to get like that.
So if this is the same girl you're going to marry? Or
No. I've been with my lady 16 years now.
Okay,
my lady's 39. She's 21 years younger than me.
Wow.
We've been together since she was 22. And she's now 30. We've been together 16 years.
Yeah.
16 years March the 1st. Anyway, and we've never broke up.
Oh.
But we've been through a hell of a lot together.
You're a bit of a romantic, you are.
I love her to death, man.
Yeah.
She's made me the person I've become. Yeah, like she said, I've made her the person she's become, and there's no more truth than that, you know what I mean? Because where I was negative, she was having none of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she loved me for me, not for Robert Taylor from back in the day. She loved me for me, yeah. And we've gone down this path, and we've gone through some painful things, but thank God we've come to the end, and we love each other to bits, and we're getting married July the 22nd.
Oh.
even though he was that heavy into it, as I said, every time I'd go and visit him, he would never do anything around me, near me. I could feel him. He's my brother. I love him. We're all the same. We have that empathy.
Yeah,
he already was gaining his empathy because he knew he wasn't in prison anymore. He wanted to live a life, but he tied himself down.
He made himself a prison, didn't he?
Yeah, he made himself a prison. He tied himself down to addiction, but he still had these qualities that Robert always had, that love and respect for those around him. He's always been soft-hearted to his blood.
No, you can see.
Yeah, he's always. Yeah,
you can see that he's a softie.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, he's a big girl blousy. Because now he can be himself.
He can afford to let that out.
That's it. Yeah. I was lucky because I said I had my first marriage was long.
Yeah.
I had wonderful children, and with my second wife, she's young.
Yeah.
And she's helped me through my disability and give me life, but they must have an amazing strength of character in themselves.
Of course, because we're not easy.
Remember, we're mixed race. We've had to go through that individual madness to gain our own notoriety and respect for ourselves.
Yeah,
you have that egoistic thing you have to go through, don't you? Right? Because you all think you're dead pretty boys and all that. You've got to realise it's not green on the other side. Yeah. And it takes man a long time to realise that, and hopefully you realise it before it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say about that romantic?
And that's part of growing up, That's part of growing up.
What he just said is true to the point. He said when with my mum, he knew, guaranteed he was loved.
Yeah.
And his mum told him something, he would not even question it.
No.
He wouldn't dare question it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if my mum was upset, he would cry like a baby.
Oh.
Yeah, because he loved his mum.
Yeah.
And that's when he broke, because when my mum died, he just then didn't have no empathy, didn't care about anybody or anything at all. And led himself up a steep hill and just dropped off the edge as a person.
Yeah.
And then the amazing thing is he brought himself back and he brought his wife to be back and became...
And we both brought each other.
Yeah.
A person again, do you know what I mean? Which is an amazing thing. And as I said, you can see now and feel the quality of his compassion and his love. He still has characteristics of his old, but it's only a whim.
It's instant. Like sometimes, someone get mad at me, and then I'll realise.
But you can't help getting mad at people.
No, I know. But
saying.
The prison system, you develop certain
protection modes.
Protection modes. You have to be strong in front of someone.
Like who the FNL you're talking about, things like that. Whereas, I'll give you an example. A few months ago, somebody was cheeky to my missus, right? He didn't know it was my missus, yeah. He was an ex of my sister's, yeah, from years ago, long time ago, right? And he was because he's still into my sister. he thought this girl was from London, blah, blah, he was cheeky. And initially, I was gonna hurt him, right? Because nobody talks to my missus like that. I don't talk to my missus like that, yeah? And, you know, no one's gonna talk to her. Anyway, a few months after, I'd gone to a dance. And he walked, and he's coming up the stairs in front of me. Him. Now, back in the day, I'd have kicked his head right off his shoulders. He would have flying through the front door. He would never know what hit him. Please believe me, I'm not saying it. I don't have to beat myself up. That was a fact. But I grabbed him round the shoulders and I said, excuse me. I said, see that lady there? That's my missus. Don't ever disrespect her again. And he went, no, I'm sorry about that. I said, not a problem, mate. I walked away. And that was the best thing what could have ever happened.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a learning process, you know.
Yeah. He would knock anybody out.
You've got to learn to control that animal we've all got inside us, basically. And
Yeah.
mine took a lot of controlling, but, you know.
Why do you think that is, Robert? Why do you think yours was so prominent?
I think I just wanted people to respect me. You know, the way people respected my dad, but I went about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But, you know, and not to mess about with me because I wasn't in the mess about type. The best when I was younger. You know, when I was younger, I just didn't care. And I'm just thankful that I didn't do things what could have affected my life for the rest of my life. I could still be in prison and things like that, yeah. You know, I had to pay a price for the things I've done, hold my hand up, you know, but it done me good.
Can you paint or draw or anything like that or write? There's something
I can
about
write. No, I can write, yeah.
Can you?
Write, yeah.
I keep thinking there's something
Yeah.
about it that's artistic.
People have been telling me for years to write a book. I've had QCs, Queen's Council telling me, Robert, you should write a book. And I've started it and I've never completed it.
Why is that?
Because he's lazy.
Okay, go on.
No, I will say he's lazy in the aspect that he's all right. And he's always had a massive potential to do things.
That's what I keep thinking.
He always has
had
done.
That much
When he used to put his hand to something when he was younger, that's it, he'd just do it.
When I wanted the Rolls Royce, I went and got one. You know what I mean? When I wanted a Porsche, I seen him one day, I said, I'm going to have that off you in 3 weeks. And I went and got it. You know, if I wanted to put my hand to it. And I know there's a good couple of books in me, definitely because they're factual, you know, but they're also people who will be able to have empathy with it, relate to it, you know what I mean? Because it's about life.
But you're obviously a thinker as well.
Yeah.
But do you know what that might be? It might not just be that he's lazy. Again, it's not having guidance.
Well,
Because if you had guidance and someone to help you to do that,
to start the process,
and show you how to keep on the process.
Yes, that's what it comes down to.
Well.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm dyslexic, and he definitely has a characteristic of dyslexia in some forms, right? He can do many things. He would be an amazing writer if he had structure.
Yeah, structure, that's the word.
He's read a lot, he's very knowledgeable, but he hasn't then taken that knowledge
and put it
into a certain modality where he's going to learn something specific, where it was writing, script writing, or playwriting, or something like that, which he could he could put his mind to. And it's not that he's despondent in any way. He's not that he hasn't that frame of mind.
He's just not had the guidance, that's all. It takes a long time.
When I come out of prison, Linda, I wanted to work with kids on the outskirts of crime, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew I could relate to them more than any probation officer who's learning university can relate, And I used to think to myself, well, if I can stop one kid out of every so many not going through the crap what we're going to put other people through the crap we put them through, you know, not just parents, but the other side to the coin, then I'd be doing some good. But I never had the guidance or anything when I could come and talk to since I come out of prison, you know. I never had nobody I could go and talk to about it.
But one of my interests in the whole overall project is that there was loads of people in the Reno who were artists.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But at that time, it wasn't in our radar to think our colour, our background.
That's right. No, that's only just come to fruition.
Yeah, now
in the last 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, in our day, he wouldn't
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have said to each other, "Oh, guess what? I'm going to be a playwright like you did."
No, you wouldn't think that. No.
Wouldn't you?
It's like him. He used to do a lot of music.
I got in trouble in 1986, not through fault of my own, right?
My fault.
Again, you feel that brotherly thing. We've always been close in certain ways, but if you said, "Oh, take me somewhere, I'll do something," he was always doing things behind my back, and I never knew. And whether they were good or bad, he was always like that. Do you know what I mean? For me, it was, because of my dyslexia, it wasn't about me trying to pursue something I wanted to do. I already knew I could do it. It was actually getting somebody to listen to me to be able to do it.
That's a good word.
I didn't learn much in school because I was still grieving over my father, and my mother wasn't well. Her heart was broke after my dad died. So we could feel that.
She was all, it was a whole life.
I wasn't interested in what teachers or friends or anybody else was saying. And then I got in trouble when I was younger. And then in 1986, I ended up going to prison, and they gave me 4 years for possession of cannabis.
Right, that's a big sentence.
Yeah, they picked on me. Because his reputation was already in the system.
They just say
They looked at
the
me,
same.
the same, that's it. And then whatever little stupid thing I got in trouble for, because mine were never big,
Yeah.
they stamped me and give me time for something. So I got this 4 years, and it was strange because everybody in the prison system was looking at me different. Not in the way like when I was younger, like I didn't belong there. I was too educated in myself, and I was too polite.
Yeah.
I didn't let people mess about. Nobody's ever had me over or beat me up or anything like that, because I do have a fire that I contain for myself.
Yeah.
You know, but in everybody was treating me different, and all the officials outside the prison says, well, the highest cannabis raid in Warsaw, you're staying in for the 4 years, you're not getting cut, you're not getting probation, you're not getting parole. So I decided to go in the kitchen, work, try and learn to read and write properly, because I couldn't read and write properly.
Right.
Right? Because of my dyslexia, because nobody would really listen to me. What was I trying to explain to them? And then after I came out of prison, after 14 months, because like he did, I went to the probation one day. She says, oh, I've got a letter from the Home Office. What is it? Well, we're going to let you out next week. And I was supposed to do 40 odd months. And it was after like 13 and a half months they took me this. And then I thought, well, the big man is giving me something back. And I had so much admiration that I was respected in prison, even by the prison officers.
Yeah.
I gained some education.
Yeah.
And then I went and became a scientist.
Wow.
And started teaching and travelling.
Doing which science?
The theory around interactive multimedia, why you're doing what you're doing, why people press the buttons. This is even before apps came out. We was at the forefront of technology.
Wow.
I worked on the MTR in Hong Kong. I worked on
Go on, Vance.
Terminal 3.
Yeah.
Worked on many different facilities.
Worked
with the police training body in Scotland how to use firearms by using interactive multimedia before it was even a concept.
Wow.
So the police could retain the information without having to look in the black books.
Yeah.
So I did all that, and then I got ill.
Right.
I used to teach boarding schools with behavioural problem children, because we were all behavioural problem children anyway. I could empathise with them.
Yeah.
I would treat them different than other professionals, and you could see the person. It's just that nobody was listening. And that was very much the same like
listening
myself.
is the great word.
Yeah, of course.
Listening
is a great word.
See that individual for who they are, and see if there is a spark of potential, guide them into
Utilise it.
Give them a helping hand. Don't label the label side of things as the worst that people can do in professions, because they say, well, statistically, you're a character of this or your background's of this and you should be this. We all have that essence of brilliance. It's just that not many people listen to that. You have to, I said, you have to stand out from the rest. When you're looking for that position, I was really regarded in my profession because I could use my disability, my dyslexic disability, to multitask on different thinking formats, the madness, bring it together and categorise it in the same way they do on computers.
Right, like lateral thinking.
Yeah,
I'm good at that.
Like
lateral thinking,
then.
Yeah. And thinking outside the box.
Yeah, well that's exactly what he does, and he has a massive potential. You know, he just needs that shoving and really that that urge, you know, where you get that burning desire to do it.
No, to be passionate. That's what it was. In the Reno, we was all passionate, weren't we?
Yeah.
And it's how you become passionate and not work in B&Q.
Well, that's right.
You know who fucking wants to work in B&Q? Do you know what I mean? Or be a bin man.
No.
You want to be something passionate, but there's nothing around
Something
going,
you put yourself
this
in
is what you can be.
No.
You know, at that time for us,
Well,
there
that was
wasn't.
all out of our reach, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No.
And I think a vast portion of knowledge went past without knowing people who could have done amazing things if they were given the ammunition to do them with.
In 2000, I went and did a massive presentation for, it was UK and Canada's main furniture distributor. And what we were doing was creating a website package that was intuitive using Flash GMove and everything else. And then I was presenting to him and he's looking at me funny. And I've seen that look before. And the only place I've ever seen that look is on the street in the Reno. And this man is rich and busy and in himself. So you could see what I distinguished, the criminality, the other multifaceted side of myself, whilst I'm giving the presentation, because we are passionate. I want to sell the product. And then after the meeting, there was a few of us in the room. He says, "You're a bit of a gangster, aren't you?" I haven't been a gangster since I was 21.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And what made him say that?
Because he must have had that characteristic.
Right, he's recognising his
own.
Recognising
he's
recognised it,
and
it was like trying to sell whatever I was as an individual. So I at that point I didn't mess with people, even on the street or in business. If you can't understand the product and it's beneficial to you, and you're too busy with me, there's not a chance you're going to have that product because you're now looking at me.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at us. That's something that I am really, really against lately. There's nothing wrong with us. Those are all your rules. And you cut us out and you didn't give us a chance. And now you're upset with us. But we're wonderful. We're proper passionate. We're funny as
well. We're like you want to be.
Yeah, thank you.
They'd long to be like us.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to say that when I was younger.
No, but you don't write books about accountants. No. You don't make films about accountants.
No, you don't. No, that's right. Yeah, well, for boring one day.
Yeah.
You can't put any...
Like one about the taxman, innit?
Yeah. You can't put any individual, especially with character and fire and blood and emotion and love and all these different wonderful things that make a person up. You can distinguish that, okay, there's a British side, there's a Jamaican side, there's an African side, there's a Brazilian side in everybody, but we have the same passion. It's universal. It's not universal in a strictly British society or maybe in France, but as a mixed race culture, we're universally identical in many ways whatsoever, even to the problems with learning or getting people to teach us what we want to learn. You know, it's that we have to be able to distinguish to ourselves what is best for us, what's our potential, and how we can get there easy as possible without following the mundane.
Yeah, the mundane, that's the word. That's
right. He might as well be a professor, because for him to come from what I call the gutter with the drug addiction to turn back into a man who I can love and admire, don't understand because he still has characteristics. He doesn't do anything wrong, but he's still Robert, my brother. It's an amazing task. There's not many people I know.
Yeah, but do you know what, Vance? If he was born upper middle class, right? You know, like in the 1920s, and had done everything that he'd done, he'd be a hero.
Yeah.
If he was white, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course,
the whole world of the Bohemian, people would be writing books about him, things about him, wouldn't they? You know, like Robert was, you know, like he was upper middle class, and therefore he had the right to do these things. Because we're working class, half black or whatever, they haven't got the fucking right to do anything, and they want to look at us in a certain light, and I'm really against this now.
Well, I mean, at one time, you used to look at a black man, he's a ponce. He's a drug dealer. You know, that's like categorising it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's exactly, it's still the same, you know.
No, but just that your heart's on fire and you want to live a passionate life.
Yeah, with yourself, that's right. And pass on your passion.
Yeah.
You know, It's called living. It's being alive, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you have the one life.
Every facility I put myself in, I did a contract for Bolton Wanderers. When I went to university, even though the students that had been there 7 years, getting their diplomas and distinction, going on their masters and everything else, they would look at me in amazement because I already had the knowledge. I just needed the direction. And once I got the direction, I was like on fire. But it's like anything, you are either good at something or you're not good at something. And if we know that we're good at something and we put our passion to it, well, then we can do anything. And then it's only then that we're noticed.
Yeah.
Most categorised middle-class British, when they look at us, they're trying to distinguish, have we got that criminality? Are we a wrong one? Are we a good one? Have we got an alternative motive? Because they're still looking
What's the alternative motive for anybody if you want to eat?
Yeah, of course.
And you want to pay your bloody wages, do you know what I mean? You know, that's the alternative motive for anything. Isn't it, really?
No, you're right.
As long as you go about it the right way, with honesty and truth to yourself and then to those in front of you, then I don't think really people, it should go wrong. For those of us who have got a slidey character, it's very difficult. It must have took him a massive task to get not only through a drug situation, or the wheeling and dealing, or the
everything was with it.
heisting and everything. There's a multitude of different addictions that he's had to get through. And I've not had no drug addictions. I've only ever smoked weed. Because I've seen it. If I see it with my eyes and I don't like it, that's it, I stay away from it. He never put it in front of us, so we've never seen it in him. We've seen it around all the people around him.
Yeah.
But all the other addictions that went around that, it's an amazing task that an individual, doesn't matter who they are, can get past that and become a person again.
Let's live again, haven't you?
And that is that fire to live and achieve. You know you're better, so you want to be better, and you have to
leave your mark, innit? You know what I mean? You know.
Tell us a really great Reno story. One that I've not heard before.
I used to like going to the Reno because all the women used to come from all over the place.
See him and his romance
Right,
again.
yeah.
Go on.
No, but I did because I had a bird, but I was a player. You know what I mean? I was a player. So I used to go down there, catch a bird from out of town. So it was like I had half a chance of not the missus, the girlfriend, not finding out basically. And I remember going to the Reno and meeting this girl, not realising that the girl was a stripper.
Oh, okay.
And about a month after, she'd only stripping in me ex-mother-in-law's pub, right? Which was the Talbot, the Roots. You know,
yeah.
Leslie Pat. Well, I was with their daughter, Julie.
Okay.
Right, and it caused me all kinds of fun. That, you know what I mean?
Oh, come on, you can't cut off there.
No,
you can't cut off. Yeah, you can't cut off. Go on, what happened?
No, well, I've seen her for a bit.
Yeah.
But she came from Newcastle, but I thought she was single.
Okay.
And then one time I got this Raj guy at my door, and I asked him to. Anyway, I ended up cricket batting him because I told him not to come on my bath. But it wasn't his fault, you know what I mean? Because only years later I realised I was done exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a learning curve again, wasn't it? You know, but I used to be terrible.
Womanizer.
I knew if I came to Manchester.
Terrible.
Vance, you've just got to tell us a Reno story.
Right.
Come on.
I've
No more theories. Give us a good Reno story.
I've gone down to the Reno looking for him.
Yeah.
And I knew that there were certain spots in Manchester where I could find him really hard to find.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you wouldn't see him for weeks. But if I wanted to go out and have a good night, if I found Robert, I'm definitely having a good night.
Yeah.
And I used to see him come to the Reno about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and he wouldn't have one girl around him. They would be coming from each direction. Hi, Robert. Hi, Robert. And Robert saying, right, we're partying tonight. And he could gather 10, 16 girls who would just party like that with him, like sheep, and go off somewhere, wherever it was, to party because of him.
Just used 2 and 16 girls.
No.
Oh, okay, right.
I was too shy at that age.
Okay.
I was too shy. But he would always
Well,
even Genevieve's.
My family moved up to Huddersfield then, and it was Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So what I used to do, one of my brothers, Don, he had a cottage. So he used to say to him, do you want to come to a party at my brother's house? And there's many times I've gone up there with girls, I swear, and they've ended up staying for weeks and months and moved to there. No, honestly, it was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. I took 3 sisters there once. Yeah, it was funny, man.
He could go out, without a doubt, so no matter who it was, and they weren't ugly or didn't have anything about them. A lot of these girls were quite well to do, but he could pull them like sheep. He could call them like sheep, and he would have girls around him throughout the whole night. And if they go to one of these parties, they wouldn't want to leave the house. He would say, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is their straight. I say to them, back in 10 minutes, and just shoot back to Manchester, leaving there with my brothers.
Yeah.
And then, I was bad. I wasn't bad, I was just learning about life.
I was just having a good time, mate.
Basically,
yeah.
And now I've got the one.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, does that mean, I've had some top nights in Reno, like I've been talking about Frank Pereira and that, and Chips. And they used to always hook up the corner, right? They had their own special corner, right? But us, we was like the villains of town. So we'd all come up looking slick in suits, go in there. We wouldn't dance a lot because that wasn't cool in them days, you know what I mean? We was the town lads,
Yeah.
But I remember like there's a firm I was talking to him before about Barry Hogan, Leicester, Rupert Leicester, Derek Barnes, Chris Jammer, and we all used to wear a pearl and a lapel. Because that was our thing. That was our thing, yeah. And we had loads of nights in there. I've seen people dancing, I've seen people get stabbed, I've seen people. Sorry. There's not something what didn't go on in Reno, you know what I mean? But I was always treated with respect, me. One, because I was right off my head, but 2, because of my dad. Yeah. And, I knew Frank Pereira well. I knew all the Pereiras well, big family, and I was married to one of the brothers who was married to one of the sisters, Lorene, I think she was called Pereira. Begins with an L anyway, I remember it begins with an L. So I always used to buck up next to him, you know what I mean? Because he was like the next generation up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was always smart. But, so I used to stand next to him because I was always smart, I was up and coming. I'd always hanged about with older people.
Yeah.
From when I was young. I remember when it was kicked off there and the whole Reno was fighting once.
Why?
Some guys had come down from Liverpool, I think. Some white guys who were trying to cause trouble, and it was Snowy, Chris, Otto. Everyone was hitting these 5 guys, but they got hit with everything. They never come back again. Because people used to go in there trying to be clever, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they couldn't. If you went in there and you showed respect to everybody,
Some of the gypsies used to go down there.
Yeah, of course. But if you show people respect, you got to respect back, At the end of the day, it was a people's club.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yes,
true. It was a people's club, It's
I remember the times I used to go to Reno, if there was ever anything going to happen, because there was always somebody coming in, looking for somebody, and you never knew whether they'd just do it there and then.
Depending what stages it was, whether it could be a knife or one or whatever,
You just never knew, but always somebody would come and tell me something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Get out of the way, blah, blah, blah. And then, I remember one time I was there, and I never drank at all at the early age. And I watched this guy come in, and he was like in tracksuit bottoms, and he was walking around looking for somebody, and it was your good friend, the one you had many years of bad trouble when you shut up the pub with. Joey Matthews, right? And he was looking.
Good friend now.
Yeah, he was looking for somebody. He looked at me. They've already had troubles. Looked at me, realised it was me. I was because he was having heavy troubles with him at them
With
times.
the long sight, lot.
Yeah.
And then went and found this guy in the corner, and he just pulled out his finger and dealt with him. It was just, you could be there, happy, joyful, having fun. You could be dancing with anybody. Everybody was enjoying themselves, smoking. But as soon as something happened, it just went cold there. And then you knew who.
Like you knew
who was who.
Yeah,
it was as instant as that. It was a very wonderful place to go because there was a multitude of cultures there, and everybody was trying to mix in with everybody. And I remember one time when some paddies came down, and they were heavy drinkers and very boisterous. Yeah. And then about 19 guys just went and bang, beat them up, chucked them out, started again. Yeah. It was wonderful. But for me, I always felt protected because everybody knew him. Everybody in the club who was anybody knew I was his brother. So I always felt safe. I never felt fearful.
There was a lot of big families in
Yeah.
there, wasn't there?
There was,
There was quite a few, families.
Yeah, big families.
Yeah, that had their own protection.
The Corleys.
Yeah, them as well.
And Sitter.
Stephen died.
Paul Sitter.
Paul Cece, yeah. That was, he was more your age, wasn't he? More. Mine was Chris Jammer.
There was always a hierarchy of people. It was always used to stem about 8 years. It was him, and then these older guys. And I remember the club owner, the one who owned Genevieve's.
Ted Barrett was not one. Ted Barrett, no, it was. Oh, what's he called?
Colour chap, really nice guy. His wife always worked with him.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Roosters.
Oh, you're on about Brian Sadie.
Brian
Sadie used to run Roosters, didn't he?
Right.
Brian Sadie. Sadie's, yeah. Sadie.
So it was like you said. Everybody knew. Oh well, you're Taylor.
Because everyone knew.
Yeah.
everybody knew that different families.
Everybody knew each other's different families, didn't they? Everybody. The Thorns.
The Thorns, yeah. I've got.
The Willises.
Dougie was a good friend of mine, Dougie Thorne. You know what I mean? And Brian's coming to my wedding.
Right.
Brian Thorne's coming to my wedding and that. And Lanza and them, they're coming to my wedding.
Right.
You see, that's changed a lot, isn't it?
Barry George, you met him, haven't you?
Yeah.
That universal family culture.
Yeah.
Like I said, you go somewhere, you knew he was a brother of somebody or
Yeah.
sister of somebody. It's not really, it's died now. Unless you're like old families who knew the families before, that kind of culture's died. It's just been too stagnated. Everybody's
I
moved.
don't know. What's your last memory of the Reno?
Mine.
I need to go for a word.
Yeah, go on.
I drunk too much coffee coming here. That's what it is.
To finish off, tell us the last time you remember going in the Reno.
The last time I remember going to Reno was I was at war with somebody.
Oh, okay.
Right, with some people from Longside who are now my friends. And we always go to the Devonshire. And they tried getting me at the Devonshire. Yeah, it's only because I was fit and I could fight. I used to teach kids karate. I used to do karate then. I didn't get done in. Right. So we'd gone down to the Renos to catch these on the hop.
Right.
Like, a few carloads of us. I always remember going to the door and Latty was on the door. And he was only little. But he knew my dad very, very well. So I always had respect for him and Phil. And but when you're vexed and everything, you're not caring. But there's about 10 of us. And I've gone marching in the place looking for somebody. And he's come up to me, Latty, you know what I mean? And he said, listen, what would your father do if he see you like this now with one of them things in your hand? And he pulled me up, he pulled me to my senses really, you know what I mean? Because I walked out of the place instead of going into the dance hall where if any of them would have got let off, anything could happen, you know what I mean? It was that kind of scene in them days, it was really bad. You know, a soupiness, you know, what you do when you're young. But it was only through Latty actually talking to me like that and saying, I'm going to phone your father, yeah? That it pulled me up, because one person I was scared of was my dad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because my dad was very strict. You know, we couldn't walk in our front room with our shoes on. you know, that kind of thing. Not at all, you know, good way. You know, but he was a good dad.
There's no curse.
And that's how it was in them.
Swearing,
no, that's how it was in them
bad
days, you know, especially because it was all big families.
Yeah.
So they had to try and control the big family. You know, it's not like controlling one individual. You've got a son or a daughter. You've got like 6 sons and 2 daughters. You know, it's a big family that in them days, didn't it? Because going back years before that, you had mortality rate, innit? Mortality.
Oh, yeah.
Where that's why people used to have big families, because you always had 1 or 2 what died. But we had a big family, you know. When I look back now, we must have drove them absolutely start raving mad, our mum and dad. You know, it's no wonder they died young, seriously, because
we all had certain madness.
yeah, we was all like,
it's true, we
was all live wires, you know, and we wanted the world to know was live wires, you know. And it's only as you get older now and you look back, you know. I mean, I'm glad that I get on great with my kids, you know. I've got a fantastic, I know with my grandkids and everything, you know, I have them up and everything. And I love it, and I try and direct them past the things what I got involved in, you know, and try and learn something through like the mistakes we've made, so they can bypass all the nastiness and the hurt and the depression and the anger what we had to go through to get some understanding in life, because no one was showing us the way. Basically, no one was showing us which way to go, nothing, you know.
Yeah, that's why it was a blessing for me to go to Yorkshire when I was young, because my children were involved in the hustle and bustle. So one's been a fireman for 12 years, happy, he's all right, he does well.
That's
my daughter's
actress,
she's been university, she's doing really well. She set up her own business. My other daughter's only 10, so they have that character. Because I never allowed them to be influenced by their school friends or the British society. I let them be their individuals. If they wanted to do something, express themselves.
I agreed with you.
It was violin, trumpet, piano, kickboxing, no matter what it was, I let them fire off.
Express yourself.
And they got good at everything to do. So I know.
That's what we weren't allowed to do.
Yeah,
we tried expressing ourselves. You say it was wrong, you know.
Well, I don't think it was just society. I think that was in the house as well.
Well, of course it was, because
you know, because your dad wanted to be good and appear to be not black. Because that's a terrible thing.
Well, that's right. No, that's right. Because most black people of our age group were predominantly brought up with their grandparents, who installed a strict sense of respect and responsibility by an iron hand. Yeah, that's basically what happened. Our parents tried to do it where they could be strict, but they wanted to show you some tenderness as well. You know what I mean? That's how my parents was anyway, you know what I mean? But I knew not to mess about. You know, I
think the difference in cultures was funky as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like that.
Cultures.
Yeah, exactly. In the house at the same time.
Ways,
it's great. You know, isn't it?
If it doesn't gel and you mix the culture, you don't really find any true balance.
But I don't think that they could at that time, because it was so different, weren't they? Most mixed race now, both the parents are westernised, aren't they? Even if they're black and white, they're both Western.
They think westernised,
but in our time they weren't.
No, well, wasn't. No, they thought English,
two different
and Brazilian, or Jamaican, or African, and English. Not a shadow of a doubt that that's how they used to think, you know, because they went through a lot of crap, you know. My mum went through hell when she first came here, you know, when she first went with my father. My father ended up knocking 2 Irish guys out on Shakespeare Street because they thought mum was a prostitute when they come out of the cinema. Now they had to go through a lot. Whereas, like you said, us, we've learned different ways now because they was too rigid. They had no bending, and that's what it was. They were very rigid in the way of thinking.
And back to what we started with, we couldn't express ourselves. Because the only thing we're saying now, it would have been shameful to go out of the house and go, do you know what, it's fucking mad in the house.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, it's crazy.
A black man and a white woman.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
Yeah, you'd be like, you've been out telling people our business. Do you know all that would have
all the nonsense you had to go through.
Yeah, all the secrets.
Yeah. No, it's right. And I think that's caused a lot of trouble, the secrets.
Yeah.
My first 2 children, my first wife is Chinese.
Yeah.
So my children
bloody hell, they're mixed
again.
Yeah.
And it's like that melting pot, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have another culture, but they also have the same fire, passion that we had. But our direction, as I said, we wasn't given many opportunities. In my point of view, people weren't listening to me.
Yeah.
Even though I had learning difficulties, I had a brilliance And
Yeah.
Well, they weren't aware of it then, were they?
They weren't
Yeah.
aware of it.
No, because he was just mongrels. In the
Yeah,
eyes of the
that's
world, it's
what we
like,
was,
we was
mongrels.
mongrels,
Yeah.
and of course he can't think,
Yeah.
he's just stupid.
Yeah,
You've
that's
got,
right.
yeah,
ADHD, you've got hyperactivity, you've got this.
Yeah,
you've got
he's
that.
got
got
mental
this,
health,
yeah, he's
mental health,
mentally
it's-
ill.
You're in a special class, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's then held you back for years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? It's
No, because
terrible.
that's the mirror then you're
Yeah.
looking in it. The mirror you look in yourself is, I must
What's
be,
represented, yeah.
yeah, I must
Hello,
be.
Peter. Yeah, I'm just finishing off now. Give us 5 minutes, mate.
Is it?
Go on. Right, okay. Right, alright, nice one, Pete. Alright, I'll see you soon, mate. Right, okay, bye-bye, brother, bye. Just let me know he's going to come and see you before he goes
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, should we finish off in a minute? Because we've
Yeah.
been going for ages.
Have
haven't
we?
yeah, I
Good
think
though.
so. Yeah,
It's been
good.
good, no, it's
No,
been
but
good.
it's a chance to express and
Yeah,
say
no, it's
shit.
been
Now,
good
innit,
to talk
in
about how
public.
it was,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, see, it's like saying, oh, Robert Taylor was this back in the day. But Robert Taylor's advanced and grown and, you know, thinks differently and acts differently. And it's good to be able to show people that no matter where you've been, you can come out the other end if you're willing
Yeah, of
to.
course you can, yeah. You've got the
Really,
passion.
really, yeah, the passion, that's what it is, the passion.
Yeah.
You really got the passion, you can achieve most things in life, definitely.
Mm.
Even though a lot of kids have got more chance of achieving things this day and age.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we had some kind of weirdo shame going on when we was
Well,
doing it,
definitely,
'cause
yeah,
I
of
don't even know
course.
what it is.
No, I do, yeah.
And I think it's gradually
Yeah.
coming out over the video,
Yeah.
different people talking about different
Yeah.
things, different aspects of this
Yeah.
stigma.
Yeah. Like people, like you say, people living in Partington maybe treated Peter differently to how they was in Gorton, you know, in different areas.
Of course, yeah.
You know, definitely.
But like we was definitely like a mongrel.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, that's how we was treated,
Yeah,
definitely.
no,
It's classed as
absolutely.
mongrels as it goes.
Yeah, I remember.
Misfits,
Yeah,
weren't we?
yeah.
Misfits.
I remember at a very early age, if I was out on my bike and people, if they were English, it didn't matter if they were English, they would look at me
because you blue eyes.
Yeah.
because we blue eyes and blonde hair and
That's what they used
think,
to
what
say, yeah.
the heck is
Yeah,
that?
that would
Yeah.
be really rare then.
Yeah.
You get quite a lot now,
Yeah.
don't you? But
Yeah,
that
well,
used
not
to
back
be
when we was
really
young.
rare, yeah.
No.
Big blonde afros, blue eyes, you know what I mean?
I think you said it dead right then.
Yeah,
What the hell is
what
that?
the hell is that? And I mean, I said I was always, I could always feel people, especially facial looks. I was always into that
Yeah, me too.
interactivity.
Yeah, hypersensitive.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking, well, I'm me.
Yeah.
I didn't know distinction because I didn't know, like you said, I didn't know black, white, Brazilian.
No, we didn't have
No,
that.
same.
We didn't have that means at first, did we?
No, my mum was my mum, my dad was my
My
dad,
dad, yeah.
uncles were uncles,
Colours.
whatever they were just part of the family or associates of the family. There was no
Society
distinction.
itself what brought
Of course,
the
it
colour
was-
thing
yeah,
into it, you
it's
know what I
society
mean?
that
Like
brought
the
it
way
in.
it treats you. You
And
know?
us finding somewhere to fit.
Well, that's right,
innit?
yeah.
You know, like where do I fit?
Yeah,
'Cause
where do
like
we
when I
fit
go
in?
to my dad's brothers and then
It's different again
Yeah,
when you
no,
go to your
yeah.
man's mother's.
yeah, exactly. So
Mm.
it's like, well, where do
What
I
do I do?
fit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Luckily for me, I had two good half-caste friends when I was a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
As well.
helps,
Two
doesn't it?
girls,
Yeah,
yeah.
that helps a lot, I
Obviously.
think.
So I said, when we were, because we were living our own lives, we were just left to our own devices.
Yeah, exactly.
This madness, what you spoke about
Yeah.
before. We were left to that, and we never really had anybody to talk to about it.
No, exactly.
So we had to try and find out
Our
for
own
ourselves
space, yeah.
the easy way, the hard way, the quickest
Definitely.
way, the slowest way. And I said, for me, being the youngest in the family, through all the experiences, I know, as you said about one time at the Reno, I remember going to Reno and I just wanted to go listen to the music, and I was young, about 17, 18, wanted to smoke. And then there's about 45 police come in to close it down.
Right.
And they were just throwing people like they were cattle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the
That's
first time I've
another
ever
thing
seen
you've
it.
ever
And then I
seen,
said,
yeah.
hold on. But there's a black policeman in there.
Yes, man, it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst. He's the one you don't want to get over
He's the
you.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said that my dad always brought us to have this strength of character. And we've always had to defend ourselves from misconception,
Yeah.
misunderstanding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's gone through all our lives. But now, if somebody doesn't accept us or like us for who we are, it doesn't really matter,
No, it doesn't.
because there's another 10,000 that do.
Yeah, exactly. It
You know,
doesn't really matter
Because
anymore.
it doesn't matter. It mattered then.
It mattered then, and I
You
think
tried to
it
find
scarred
it.
us then,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it doesn't
find
really
it.
matter anymore.
No,
Does it? It don't
no,
mean.
no.
Because at the time, right, when to be our colour and what we decided in the Reno and our Moss Sidey ways,
Yeah.
of the right way to be. Robert would have been more acceptable than you.
Yeah.
In our world at that time.
Definitely.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
and another thing with us as well, because we was light skinned, that made it worse again.
I was wondering that, but I didn't like to ask.
No, it's true as well, but it made it worse again, man.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't believe when I used to have white mates going on about Nick knock this and Nick knock that about him, and then I have black mates going on about white this and my mum's white, you know what I mean? Hold on a minute, mate, you know what I mean? So you don't know,
pig. They call them English blue-eyed pigs.
You're dancing everywhere, right? Every way you want to please somebody else, you know what I mean? That's not the case. Anyway, it's been good seeing you, Linda.
No, likewise, man. It's been great. Hello.
Carry him downstairs.
Are we off, folks?
Yeah.
Till next time.
Yeah, nice one. I think you're doing a fantastic